Hey everyone, Dana here, and I've recently gotten several messages and comments from people saying that they're going to be going to the US for the first time soon, and they would like to know kind of what they shouldn't say, what they should watch out for so that they don't offend or upset anyone. And so today I'm going to be talking about a few questions that you just shouldn't ask Americans because they're considered rude questions, or these questions might make people feel uncomfortable. Leading up to this video, I've been thinking more about the differences between Americans and Germans, and one thing that I realized that I find really interesting is that in the US, as I've said in other videos, in general, Americans are more open to talking with strangers, having small conversations with people that we don't know. For example, in line at the grocery store. Of course, you have to read the people around you and make sure that nobody's in like a really grumpy mood, but it's not so crazy to think that if I'm in line at the grocery store in the US and I see that the person behind me is unpacking frozen hot dogs and hamburgers and buns and marshmallows onto the conveyor belt, and if the mood is nice and light, I could say something like, "Hey, you having a cookout this weekend?" You know, if it's a Friday, then they might say, "Yeah, I am having a cookout. The weather's supposed to be great. It's the 4th of July." I might say, "Oh yeah, last weekend I tried to have a cookout. I had everything ready and then it rained." You know, you just end up with a nice, light little conversation that makes the waiting in the line a lot less painful, more pleasant. And for me, it just brightens my whole day. Having those little social interactions, I really love them. Now let's say you're in the US, I'm an American, I get invited to a party in the US, I go to the party, and it's a bunch of people that I don't know, complete strangers, or possibly people that I've met once at another party the previous year, but I don't really know them. So what kind of conversations am I going to have with these people? Well, pretty much the same level conversation as what I had with the person in the grocery store. I don't know these people at the party, so I'm just gonna talk to them about movies, foods that I like, the new restaurant that just opened up, keeping it nice and light and fun and fluffy. Okay, now let's say you're in Germany. I don't know what would happen if I saw someone in line at the grocery store pulling out hamburgers and hot dogs. Or, well, they wouldn't be pulling out hamburgers and hot dogs because you can't buy frozen hamburgers and hot dogs, I think, here in Germany. But maybe they're pulling out spaghetti and marinara sauce. And I said to them, "Hey, you having pasta night?" I don't know what that person would say, but I don't think that they would be very comfortable with me trying to engage in conversation. They would be like, whoa, I don't even know this person. Why is she asking me these personal questions about what I'm having for dinner this weekend? But now let's go to a party in Germany. And again, these are people that I don't really know. Maybe I've met them once or twice, or they're complete strangers, but they're definitely not my close friends. I would like to talk about movies and, light, fluffy stuff. But from my experience living in Germany, I get the feeling that Germans are, for the most part, not really satisfied by those kinds of light and fluffy, or as they call them, superficial conversations. A lot of times, I've noticed people here in Germany want to get into more deeper conversations. And I think that's really interesting because on the one hand, Germans seem to feel like it's an invasion of their personal space to make small talk with someone they don't know at the grocery store to talk about their plans for the weekend. But then when I meet them for the first time at a party, they're often, from my experience, very quick to talk about things that I consider on a deeper level that I'm not ready to talk to you about because, yes, we're at a party together, but I just met you, so I don't want to talk about politics. No-go question number 1 that you do not ask an American is, so who did you vote for in the last election? I learned this from a very young age. My parents taught me when I was little that this is not a question that you asked people. When I was like 5, I asked my parents, "So who did you vote for?" And they sat me down and said, "It's okay. We're your parents, so you can ask us that, and we're happy to tell you who we voted for and why. But just so you know, that is not an appropriate question to ask your friends' parents." So why don't Americans like to talk politics? Well, if you haven't noticed, the US is pretty much divided 50-50 right down the middle on some really sensitive, hot button topics. And each side really feels like they are right and like the other side is going to destroy the country. People take these topics pretty seriously. And so if you ask, hey, who did you vote for? That's not just asking for a name. When you tell who you voted for, you're often telling how you feel about all of those very sensitive hot button topics. And if you and the other people in the room don't agree, and because people really feel like the other side is so wrong and is going to ruin the country and humanity and everything on the planet, it ends often really messy. And what was a fun and happy party suddenly turns just everyone's in a really bad mood. Another no-go question would be, so how much money do you earn? Oh, this question I think for the most part would make many Americans really uncomfortable because this is our own personal, private information. And now by asking this, you've put us on the spot to share it with you. And we don't want to be rude, but at the same time, it's private information. Me personally, I would not feel comfortable talking about this with anyone other than my spouse, maybe my parents, and maybe a closest best friend. Some Americans might feel totally comfortable sharing this information, but you just don't know. And so I guess the rule here would be, if you have to ask for the information, then it's probably none of your business. And if someone wants to share that information with you about how much they're making, then they will. But here in Germany, I've noticed that that's really not the case. People seem to be super comfortable and open talking about how much they earn. I've never asked any of my German friends how much they earn because, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine asking that. But I've had lots of my friends ask me, not just from YouTube because they're curious about what YouTubers earn, but in general with all of my jobs. Oh, you got a new job, congratulations. So how much are they paying you? What do I say? Also, 2 years ago, Mr. German Man and I did the Expat in the City Fair, and we had a booth there where we were showcasing my YouTube videos. There were actually a lot of German people at the Expat in the City Fair, which was really interesting. 99% of all of the German people that came by my booth, their first question was, so how much money do you make with that? And these are people that aren't even at a party. I totally don't know them. And I just was taken aback. I had no idea. I was left with like, you don't want to be rude and be like, it's none of your business. But that's all I was thinking. The next no-go question kind of goes along with the last one. And that would be, hey, you got a new insert big expensive item here. How much did it cost? I guess Americans just don't feel comfortable talking about finances in general. How much we paid for something, how much we earn, that's our own private thing. And I would say in the US, how much someone is going to feel uncomfortable with this question also has to do with how expensive the item in question is. So are you talking about a house or a car, or are you talking about a bag that you bought at Old Navy or Target or something for $25. If you say, oh, I love that new bag from Old Navy. I was thinking of going there this weekend. Can I just ask you, how much did you pay for that? Just so I know. Not a big deal. That's okay. And the last no-go question for today is, so what religion are you? This is, again, a very private and personal thing for many Americans, and they might feel uncomfortable if you put them on the spot for an answer. If you're friends with someone in the US, as your relationship grows, this will probably come out organically. You'll share this just kind of in conversation when you feel comfortable as you learn about how you are the same and different. In the US, good small talk conversations at parties or with people that you've just met a few times or your coworkers, good topics include sports, movies, music, food. Food is always a good one. Books, phone apps, the city you're in, viral videos that you've seen recently, TV shows, work, travel, hobbies, school, podcasts. So if you're someone who just can never think of good small talk topics, take a screenshot of this and use it as inspiration. But not talking about religion, politics, and your finances. So my question for you is, I'm so curious now, how do you feel about these different questions? How would you feel if you went to a party, imagine it in your head, and someone you don't really know asked you these questions, what would you feel? Comfortable, uncomfortable? Why or why not? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please show some love with the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe for more videos. And for more photos and other short video clips, you can check me out over here on my Twitter and my Facebook page. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts in the comments on these questions. And also, for more photos, no, what? Oh, it's a spider. So my question for you is, what?